So I'm Jin Yang. So I'm 19 this year for your information. Then I'm in a faculty of FIST and I'm studying security technology as my degree. And I'm in first year. And so after that, outside school, I'm an executive board member of United Nations and department associate of IT and department in United Nations also. And I own a franchise robotic business outside and a special needs kids school homeschooling. And then I'm an Unleash Hacks talent and co-founder of a AI green tech company called Titan Solutions. And I'm also an IT department or IT support for an NGO called D2Y. And yeah, I'm also the co-founder of this company. That's a short brief about myself. So I'll pass it over to Park Yen and let her introduce herself.
Jin Yang, so why are we just talking about SkillDefyne then? Okay, Park Yang, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having us today. I'm Park Yen, currently studying psychology in the University of Nottingham, Malaysia. So I have been in the education industry for a few years now and have co-founded multiple businesses, namely PR management company specialized in branding, accommodation, and events, and also an online jewelry store. Aside from work and business studies, I also have involvements in multiple nonprofit projects and association. From a vast amount of topic, I co-founded projects from working towards education equality and raising awareness on community issues. Right.
Amazing duo, man. You're only in your degree, you're already doing so much. Okay, all right. So now I'm sure everyone wants to know what basically motivates you to become an entrepreneur. You're doing so much, right? So many things going on at the same time. So what actually motivates you?
So for me, how I started the story. So let me tell you from all the way from the start, like which is my first business have started, which is during after my SPM days, which is like 2 years ago. And one day I was talking to my uncle that he mentioned about starting a business so he can spend his retirement day. So that's how he gave me the funding to start my first business, which is the robotic education company, where why I chosen this industry at the first place is because in my high school days that I'm in the robotics industry, I'm also in robotics club and I get into robotics competition where and so on and so forth, where I am quite familiar in this field and this point of time that after that, later this business have expanded to become a homeschool for special need kids. So at this point of time that I felt that I'm more interested into doing business. So I didn't went out to find some part-time jobs and so on. So I went into focusing this. And what I like of being like the entrepreneur is because it's the flexibility is there, where I can work anytime, anywhere. And where it gives me like a really good opportunity to meet new people and meet new connections, get new connections. And so, after gaining experience and confidence from my first business, and I wanted to venture more to create my own brand. So that's where we see here SkillDefyne, which is our own startup, our own brand, where the robotics, I felt that it's like to have like a franchise, you don't feel that satisfaction of like this is not mine. This is only I'm only holding a franchise, where having my own brand under my own name, it sounds cool. So after gaining this confidence, I started this business. Well, it's because according to my personal experience, where I've joined like some internship programs for like those skills-based jobs like event management and some photography, where from here, I don't think that skill job-based business, they really require like experience. It's not only theory. So when you learn theory, it's not enough. Like example, if you are organizing a gala dinner one day, and so there are some situations that you might not learn or you might not learn from theory, where example that probably some guests who didn't show up. So how should you take action, or probably your MC got diarrhea. So what will happen? So are you going to find someone to replace, or are you going to go up there and host the event yourself? So this is all experience-based. And so, and as for like photography, if you're talking about photography, that probably like every single camera is different, and probably if you attend some professional courses, like let's say you attend some Nikon classes where they do offer some classes to teach you professional photography, but in terms of that, they only can teach you like their own, probably they share their own experience, but you have to go experience it yourself in order to know that which angle suits you best, and so on. And so after that, after thinking and gaining all this experience, and me and my partner got together, and so we wanted to provide an affordable and accessible class where we give you the kind of, not only we teach you theory, but we give you on the field experience. Like we'll give you real life project based, where we'll give you directly a real event for you to experience it yourself. Like how are you going to run this event yourself as an event manager, or as a photographer, or as like a person on the field, where we think that this is very, very useful for people who like want to build their CV, or they want to build their career, or gain extra skills in all these kind of fields. So I would say that we are providing an opportunity for not only university students, but also people outside the public, where our company also, because some of our courses that we allow or we accept university students who are still studying and who wanted to share their passion and earn some side income on the way, we welcome them, because we don't limit people for like, oh, you must have a degree, only you can work in this company, and so on. So that's our aim for this company.
Oh, wow. Wow. So students, do you hear that? So, in a way, Jinyang is saying that we welcome all of you to join our company. All right. Okay. So Vincent had a very good question. I'll save that question in a bit. But before that, I just want to get to know Pak Yan. I want to know how did you two meet? Because you studied in a different university, and how did you then become co-founders at for SkillDefyne?
We've known each other for more than 5 years now, starting from high school. We were in the same high school then. It was Catholic High School in Petaling Jaya. So we were both involved in the same club, as we were really into photography. So through the club, we got to know each other. And as we were both executive members for the club, we got to interact with each other and work together. And that is essentially how we got to know each other. But in terms of SkillDefyne, we really got in touch with the business sides when we were in college. Although we lost contact for some time and we were from different universities, we got in contact on a random day and just hung out. When we were discussing on what each of us were doing at that point, he was managing a robotic business and I was working on a startup. And we found a lot of similarities in what we were doing. So we were both really goal-oriented and had a really high drive for success. So then as we continued, I found that he was experienced in the IT-related field, whereas I was more of a branding business side. I had no clue how a website worked, like seriously. And so we sought a great opportunity for collaboration based on each of our competency. So we were both really interested and passionate in the education industry also and its opportunities. So from there, we slowly grew to understand each of our strengths and competency. And we slowly worked on the business as our strengths were compatible with each other and we had trust between each other, right? And as JY said just now, we had a real concern of the same problem and we just thought, why not do SkillDefyne together? And that's essentially how SkillDefyne came up. Before going deep into the business, we really got to know each other in terms of our strengths, passion, compatibility, trust, because we knew that down the road, if this wasn't well, it could really break the relationship, right?
Yeah, so maybe at this point, I think it's best to answer Vincent's question because I had the same thing in mind. You could always just focus on your studies. right? You could always just focus on chasing your, to get the highest CGPA, the highest grade, the A's, the number of A's in your subjects. So, why do you do this? Like Jinyang, for example, you were helping with the startup for robotics, right? And Pak Yan also, you're also involved in another startups, right? So, why?
Okay, this is a good question. Why we are not chasing on the CGPA? We actually also focusing on our studies at the same time. But I just felt that our current situation, that because we are as students and we don't have much responsibilities on hand, so it's the best time to fail if we make any mistakes. So when we're young, when we don't have anything, like we don't need to feed the family, we don't have to make living for our own needs. And this time where you fail, then you can fail. You can afford to fail at this moment of time. So if we can manage our studies, then why not just spend our free time working on something that will really, really benefit us in the near future? Because this is a very great experience for us to learn and grow.
Yeah, Pak Yan, maybe you want to add on. Do you how about when it comes to supports from your families? Do you have any issues in terms of juggling between studies and and your startup?
In terms of that, they are quite supportive. I mean, essentially, they just say, focus on your study, and I can. Because I believe that if you talk about like first class and second class honors, right? 3.2, I think 3.8 is first class, right? 3.6.
For your 3.3.
Let's say 3.5, right? Something like that. 3.75. 3.75 is similar to a 3.9. It's still a first class. So, I mean,
all right.
If you're looking for a job, of course, that will matter in terms of which category you're in the first class. But then starting a startup, it is also that experience that you learn. So going into the job, you can tell them, okay, maybe I wasn't that great in my studies, but I have this experience. I have experience in the industrial experience, and I've worked with actual clients. I have earned actual and sold actual things, rather than saying that, oh, I just got a 3.9, right?
By the way, I just got a 3.9. Okay, all right. So now maybe before we go even further, right, because I'm pretty sure I see Vincent also have another follow-up question. Maybe at this point we should start talking. Maybe you can share with everyone here what is the business all about. How did you come up with the idea? What is SkillDefyne?
All right, sure. So we'll move on to.
We'll share the screen.
Okay, all right.
Share tab. Share tab.
Okay. Yeah, see, I have no idea on computers.
All right. Okay. So that's good. That's a good step. Okay.
All right. So you can see this is our company logo, SkillDefyne. And so our tagline is borderless education. It's because we believe that education should not be a limit, even though like if you say like COVID situation or should not, we still should continue learning. So, and our aim is that you can learn anywhere, anytime, without any restriction. And this is our platform in the sense of that's our dashboard and how we conduct lessons and so on. And so our course offered, this is our examples of course offered, where like we have like Arduino, like we have like tutors who have really, really experience in this field. And we have music, where our music courses are mainly, we have a special platform that we use a few kind of virtual systems where we make music learning much more clearer, because if you probably attend some music courses during the pandemic and you only use like a smartphone or so, it's not really sufficient that students probably cannot see or hear clearly what the teachers are actually playing. So what we integrate a few kind of virtual platforms to make the music learning much more easier. And our language courses consist of like Chinese business courses where we teach those business people Chinese, where prepare them to go for the China market, where the China market is a very big market now. So we train business people or probably other teenagers or university students who like to learn more in Chinese. We also do offer that courses. And further on, these three courses, it's mainly live courses. Then we have courses where like event management, photography, where we really put you into the field and not only just the theory. But the event management courses currently is like the real project base have to be put on hold due to COVID. And yeah. So next on, so over here we can see that our average course for average lessons for a course, where we look at the quality and so on. So for our instructors, where average they have 3 years of experience, but we do not actually limit you as long as you have like an experience in this field. Let's say you are very good in photography and you would like to teach in photography, you like to share your knowledge, and yeah, we welcome you in. So we'll just go through probably a interview session, then we can work on like how to make you in and how will you share your platform in. So in our average lesson, which is the live courses, is like around 1 hour per class. And so how our students will learn is we have pre-recorded and live lessons, and we will have every single course, we will have a session where you will present your skills that you learn from the theory class. And yeah, we have certificate of completion. And currently we are launching a new kind of certificate where we are going to apply NFT into our certificate. So it's kind of a new thing. So as our tagline, borderless learning, we can learn anywhere, anytime. So apart from doing just only the education, we had also diverse into the corporate sector, where we help corporate companies, where we outsource our solutions mainly. Right now, we are having the Business Digitalize program, where we help business to digitalize their platforms, where they want to, let's say they want to build a website, they want to build an app, they want to build a payment gateway. We'll help them to manage this out and then produce this for them. And then next up, we have the talent portfolio page, where the talent portfolio page is mainly like our past students or the we call it alumni of our students. We will put them, like let's say you have joined an event management course and you have performed well in this course and the company really liked you. Then we'll put this portfolio up into our website, where this portfolio will share it among the companies, where companies can take a look at this portfolio and say, oh, we have this student who have this talent, and probably some event companies might be interested in you, and we can share this portfolio to them, and you might get hired. And so on. We're also a diverse company, where we are not only working in education only. So we're not only working in business digitalized program, we also host our own events. We also help people to host events and so on. We have our own production team, like the production studio, where it's called Defyne Creative Team, where this will work on mainly photography and videography, where we have a team of people who will go out and help people to shoot commercials and help people to shoot events and so on. So how to become our instructor? So I must say, because we are also consistently welcoming new instructors to join our company, become our instructors in our company. It's more of like, you are not to say that you're tied to our company. It's mainly we go on with flexibility, where you can teach you flexibility, where as long as you're connected to the internet and as long as you are available at that moment of time, and you are really passionate to share, as we have instructors from all over, from Singapore, all over Malaysia. So it doesn't matter that wherever you are, as long as you have internet connection, we're welcoming you. And secondly, you have a very strong passion in sharing your knowledge in your favorite subject. Let's say you are really good in IT programming, or probably you are very good at making apps, websites, and you can join us. And we will be having courses soon to teach people on how to build websites and so on. Then, well, of course, being our instructors, you earn while you study. So when we would like to give a very flexibility rate, as in we'll discuss with the instructors how can we help you, and we'll set our own rate. So probably every single instructors probably have a different rate, and we can negotiate with us. And that's how we work, because we wanted to everyone is a family, so we care for everyone. So that's how we work in this company. So yeah, if you are a university student who are passionate in your subject and would like to join our team, you can email us to talents@SkillDefyne.com, or you can sign up on our site, which is on the site below. So I'll pass this session back to Putri.
All right, sure. Okay, so maybe at this point, the students then, before they decided that they want to join you, maybe you want to share, how do you juggle, how do you manage? You probably would have shared a bit earlier on, but how do you basically manage between your business, between SkillDefyne, or maybe you have other, startups or other engagement, right, with your studies? But yeah, maybe you wanna, answer that question.
Yeah, and other than that, we also have a lot of involvements, nonprofit projects and associations, right? So time management is an integral part of our lives. As for me, I am involved in a few projects currently. So in terms of how we manage our business, essentially we often set responsibilities and goals and deadlines where there is actually a clear understanding of what we're supposed to do at a given time frame and deadline. And proactivity is really important, as we cannot afford to procrastinate, right? With our involvements, we also tend to arrange our time according to our schedule, and this is often very manageable. As you get into doing business and having commitments aside from studying, in a way you just adapt to it, because adapting and being flexible, it becomes the norm to you, right? But as we're doing this, it also requires a lot of sacrifices, because essentially we are using up our free time that some of our peers would have, to watch movies, hang out, and all that. Because our time is primarily invested into one, education, two, business. So, but we do find balance in life and work, because this is also very important, right? Not only for us, but also the business. Because sometimes when we are too caught up in the process, our mind gets fogged, where it is hard to come up with ideas. So sometimes we just need to take a step back, take a rest, and plan and strategize better. It is also where having a co-founder I think helps, because as we are studying, sometimes we will be caught up in our studies and be super busy, like having exams or a bunch of assignments. But because we know we've got each other's back, where if one of us is busy, the company won't be on a standstill and it can still operate. So with business and studies, it's really important to find balance and be disciplined in time management. Also, it involves a lot of sacrifice. I mean, I know there's a common myth of being able to achieve the earn while you sleep life with entrepreneurship, but that takes a lot of years. And in the end, the company still counts on you to operate. So if you are not working to get the company to where it should be, who's going to, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so I have a question there. Okay. One question. So do you have a fight with each other? Because, when you say that, normally when you study, you will have your downtime and your super busy time. You will have your assignment, your exam. Do you, when, say for example, Pak Yan, you talk to Jin Yang and say, I have my assignment this week. I have tons of assignment to finish, to complete. I mean, you focus on SkillDefyne. I don't care. And Jin Yang will say, you know what? I have my midterms coming up. I'm sorry. I need to focus on my midterms. So do you have those bickering with each other kind of thing? How do you manage?
Not really. We both understand our ability and our schedules, so we work around that, and we are honest with each other in terms of anything that comes up. So we just talk, because we are very straightforward actually. So we just talk about like anything, any problems that we have to each other, and we just work on it. And let's say, okay, I'm busy this month, I'll put more effort on the next month, because essentially we normally complete our work by and our progress is measured more by how much, not the number of hours we put in, but rather our output and our work, right? So if we are able to just complete what is meant to be and our responsibilities, that is enough. Like, we don't really say that, okay, you need to work 9 to 5. We don't have that time. But as long as we are able to complete our work, and most often we can, because we can. So essentially that is how also that we don't really get into a fight on this.
I'd like to add on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like we are very fortunate that when I'm having exams, she's not having exams. When she's having exams, I'm not having exams. So yeah, this is something that I like on. So we can distribute our work really, really well.
Okay, so side note, probably participants would want to, to take that as a tip. Find your co-founders from different universities. Okay, maybe Jinya, you want to add on. So basically, how many hours do you work on your business?
I would say that it's quite flexible, as just now Pak Yan mentioned that we are mainly goal-oriented and output-oriented. So it differs from like if let's say we have an event coming up, like this event, so we'll probably work on like, how we could probably stay up like a few nights, like work on like all this kind of thing, and probably like what we should say like on this day, and probably like let's say we have another project coming up, and so we just mingle with it. But usually our working hours are like at night or like after school hours, so we don't actually affect our schoolwork and so on. So, but as long as we complete our work in a given time frame that we should do, so we won't limit like how much hours. But I can say that probably we work from around like 2 to 3 hours a day.
For SkillDefyne.
Yes.
All right. Okay. 2 to 3 hours. I can let go my Netflix. My 1 hour of TV series. Okay. Another factor I think maybe participants want to know in terms of capital, in terms of your funding or your budget, capital of opening up a business. How do you manage with limited funds? How do you, open up a startup with limited funds?
To start up a business, I mean, the capital is everything, right? So essentially, if you have a limited budget, I'd say first, start small. Think of how you want to strategize your business and optimize your budget accordingly. So say you're an online business, right? The cost is quite low, right? But then comes the technical parts like coding, designing a website, and you may not have any idea how to do that. I say that from experience. And rather than paying other people to do it, you can actually learn it on your own. I mean, I started out not even knowing the difference between front end and back end web development. But after a year, I'm able to design and create websites and learn things that I never once knew in terms of web development and coding. Having a smaller budget essentially means that you need to invest more time into learning and solving problems. But that is also one of the key aspects of being an entrepreneur, right? Learning and problem solving. But if you really lack the fund to say even to produce the product, one method is to actually work for the fun on your own. I mean, work part-time while working on your idea, or to invest. I mean, my first business capital was from prior investments I made before starting any business. So essentially, if the capital needs to be quick, there is always the choice of going to apply for grants or pitching competition like this, and even seek for investors. But do know that before you seek for investors, you need to be very, very, very prepared in terms of understanding your business model, your market segmentation, your channels, and most importantly, your competitors. And you have to be ready to face a lot of criticism for your idea. But take this as constructive criticism and improve on your idea, because oftentimes they know what they're saying, right? In terms of how we go about minimizing costs, it is really up to your imagination. For example, if you're doing marketing, right? The first thing that comes to mind is always paid social media marketing. I'm going to pay Facebook or Instagram to promote my product, and that is it. But there is a lot of details that goes into this when you are on a tight budget, such as targeting the right people, having the right material for the audience, and conversion rate and stuff like that. And because you are on a tight budget, you really need to be wary on this. And there's a lot of emphasis on free marketing, such as going into relevant Facebook groups to share your information, or through the word of mouth. These are free, right? And a lot of creative ways to come up with marketing plans. But holistically, if you want to minimize the cost of the entire business, digitization, I think, is a good solution. As, of course, more companies are starting to realize with the pandemic, it's the best way you can meet optimal scalability or growth with a minimal fund, which is also why we are starting a business digitization solution, for SMEs, to help them digitize their website, according to their budget, of course. So essentially, they are able to move their sales online and automatize a lot of their work. This will help them meet maximum efficiency, while doing that on an affordable rate compared to the overpriced market right now. Because we truly want to help raise computer literacy in these communities, right? And we've taken a few projects on this to help SMEs digitalize their business.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. Jin Yang, earlier on, Pak Yan mentioned a bit about, investment, so being a student, right? So how do you, gain capital through investors? How do you convince investors to invest in your business?
That's a really, really good question. So I would say that starting a company from scratch, or like any business from scratch, and funding, it's a really, really important thing. Like, if you don't have money, probably you cannot grow. So you can go for ideation startup programs to get investors. Like some hacks also, that they have pitching sessions where you can get investors, or you can gain investors by you going out and finding actual investors or some companies who invest in your idea or your product. So, but firstly, you really, really need to know that what is your product, and how is your product, and ins and outs of your product, like how your product works, and probably what improvements that your product can make in future, and what can you do with the fundings that is given by the investors to improve your products, and mainly what can the investors do, and after the investors invested in your company, how can that money help your company to grow, and how is their investment is going to help them in return, and will they get any let's say profit sharing, or some gain back of their investments. As investors themselves, they invest in your company, they want something back. So they are not giving free ang bao, hey, I give you startup grant, go start your company, grow your company. Well, they're not a charity, they're not doing charity. So you need to keep asking yourself what are the flaws of your product or ins and outs of your product. Keep asking yourself questions like, oh, my product and how is my product and so on. And if your product is good enough, or how can you make this product better? And because questions from investors, they might be harsh, and yeah, just keep in mind at that, but just don't take it emotionally, but you can take their comments to improve your business. But it doesn't matter if some investors don't want to invest or in your company where they giving you harsh comments. But yeah, it's a growing opportunity that you can see that, oh, we can take all these opinions and take into consideration that how I can improve my company in order so the next investor that I pitch to. So it's more likely that you get and you improve yourself every time that you join pitching sessions with your investors. So there's one time where I have joined one of the hack sessions in Singapore, where that's how I founded my green energy AI company. So at that time, we're working on an AI system where this AI system is to apply into commercial buildings to control their cooling systems, where cooling systems, mainly in commercial buildings, that spend a lot in their electrical bills. So from here, one of the investors asked that, how can we integrate this system into really old central cooling system? Because like current situation, like all those cooling systems in the market are all not that new technology, because unlike our home aircon is way more advanced in this technology. If you want to compare to those commercial buildings, as commercial buildings, they're all really old technology, where probably it's just a thermostat, fan, and a normal aircon compressor, that's all. So how they asked this question, which is like really good things, like, oh yeah, how am I going to integrate this system into old technologies? Well, luckily that time, quick thinking actions, where we have to let them know that how we integrate, like probably what upgrades that we need. So after that, well, luckily the investors are like, oh yeah, okay, your idea is good. So I actually got the grant to like start up this green AI company. Well, currently now it's still in development process, and we hope to apply this AI technology to more commercial companies currently. Yeah, this is one of my experience. So you need to bear in mind and keep asking yourself that questions about investors that might ask you. So create questions and ask yourself some questions that you think that investors might ask when you're pitching in your product. And most importantly, you need to create like a business plan, your pitching deck, your action plan, like how are you going to carry out your idea? Because investors, they really want to know that once they invest this capital into your company, they want to get that sense of security, like, oh, I wouldn't be investing for nothing. So if let's say I invest in your company and your company get bankrupt, they don't want this to happen. So they want the sense of security. As investors also like people who are really passionate in your idea. So it's really important that you give them a sense of like you are really passionate to carry out your idea during your pitch session and so on. So investors like that. And yeah, I think that's all from me.
All right, so basically join as many competition as you can to get the opportunity of investors coming in to invest, and also to learn or understand what investors want.
Yes, like
the pitching session that you will be having with them.
Especially competitions is like a really good platform to fail, and really good platform to gain experience, I would say, because you are not really going into like an actual company, but you are indirectly pitching to an actual company, but not in the sense of you have this competition as a platform to guide and help you to like how you should most competitions, they will have like a mentor session of like how they will guide you through, and so you can learn from all this experience. And the investors there are real actual investors, so it's a really good and experience gaining session.
On a side note, when you join these competitions, right, are you not worried that your ideas get stolen? I mean,
I would say that once you join these competitions, ideas getting stolen is not a new thing, and you cannot prevent that, because once you join a competition, you are agreeing to share your ideas out. So to prevent this kind of thing, is you cannot prevent, but what you can do is you join these competitions, pitch your ideas. If you don't get the funding, you keep adding new ideas, because like even though one day you get a really, really good idea that no one else have, someone else in the other side of the world might have the same idea as you. So it's the way of how you execute the plan. It's not on like your idea getting stolen. If let's say that one day, like maybe 5 years ago when Grab is not here, probably you have an idea on like creating Grab, but probably Grab is faster than you. So they managed to create Grab and become Grab nowadays. So yeah,
that's true. Even before Grab, there's Uber.
Yeah, that's Uber.
Yeah. So however ways, if you feel that people might steal your ideas, but it's the way you implement it, the way you execute it, how fast you are, and how innovative that you get, right, in executing your ideas. Okay, now, Pak Yan, I wanted to ask, when did you started SkillDefyne, both of you?
We started on the project last year, and in terms of really launching it, we launched it this year.
I'm curious why, because of COVID and all that, right? So you decided to launch SkillDefyne during this exciting time, maybe, So why have you chosen to set up this venture, during this time? Are you not worried that you might get affected by COVID?
Well, you can see that at this current moment, like a lot of businesses have closed on. But of course, that's a very good question, and to ask us that, why we start this company at this period of time, which for our personal opinions, that we think that is the best time to start up, which this is like a tech startup, and tech startup is not really high cost. And if you look at during the 2000s, during the .com bubble burst, like Amazon thrived during that time. Well, so it's the way of like how you do a business. Like, even though it's an economic recession, and the way, if you see that in an economic recession, not every company died, and some company even thrive during a recession. So it's all on like how you execute the plan, on how your idea, how you execute your idea, and how you run your company. Most importantly, your budget planning. Yeah, budget planning, it's also really, really important. And then, so you might ask me that, did my business get affected, or did my other company's business get affected? I would say that yes, COVID did actually affect the business more or likely a bit, as like a new startup also. And also, I would say that my previous company, like the robotics education business and the homeschooling, yes, it really affected, because they need physical classes and so on, because I have teachers going to schools to teach and conduct lessons and so on. These when school closed, we cannot conduct any lessons. And so, but during that time, like COVID hits us and schools cannot open. And I can say in my terms of business. So at that time, there is a special needs kids school nearby my center. They're laying off a lot of teachers. So I saw this opportunity to grab all these teachers in, and then to start my own special needs kids school together and joined with the robotics school, where because special needs kids, they are really special in the sense of like, once they follow one teacher during like when they are young or so on, they will continue following this teacher, like no matter where the teacher go, or if like the teacher get laid off or so, the teacher will continue bringing this student along with them. So I just talked to them, oh, hey, since you got laid off and probably would you like to join our company where we have a center for you? Because for special needs kids, they are actually, during COVID, teachers can actually still conduct lessons, I can say, because like they need help and they need guidance from teachers, because some kids they probably cannot even take care of themselves, so they are in a really special sector. So this kept my robotics company going, where I have income from this special needs school to cover the costs from the robotics company, which I can say that I'm proud to say that I haven't been laying off any of my employees. So I can still keep this going. And as for last year, we got out of this idea and we start planning of this SkillDefyne, this company. And as we are thinking of like to integrate this into this thing, but so far we would like to diverse our business. We really diversify our business. So if you want to say that if until this day, we are still focusing on like the project-based event management thing, we will never come this far. We will probably go like bankrupt or something because there's no events that it can manage. There's no photography events that can take. So we move on like introducing new courses, and we need to be innovative in different kind of times. As probably like back in Amazon, if Amazon continues selling books online, they will never become Amazon today. So they need to innovate, and we need to have new ideas keep coming in order to make this and keep this business going. So probably like okay, let's say for our situation, we introduced like we so-called Kids Plus, where it is our program where we have Arduino classes, language classes, and all these classes. We introduce new programs, and furthermore, this year we are proudly to say that we introduced our corporate program, where we get partnerships from SMEs and to build and digitalize that system. And because I can say that I'm very proud of this move, is because we can keep other business going. As we have one of our clients who came to us, like they said that they don't have sales like during this pandemic time, and they need help, and how we should they should actually market their product. So they approached us, and we managed to make a whole marketplace platform. And we help them to do marketing, and then we help them to set up all this platform, and so this client can actually sell their products online. And not only selling these products online, and they also can gain profit and still put food to their table and try not to lay off so many of their employees. So because if we save one company, we can save the employees inside. So in the sense of not so many people get laid off, the employment rate will not be so high, right? The unemployment rate. So it's also another way of saying that it's saving the Malaysian economy, I can say.
Wow, and you're only in your first year. So much, you can do so much.
But I would say the most importantly is like you need to keep getting ideas to expand your business, and you cannot really stand on like one idea itself. You might have a really great idea, that one idea, but there are many situations that probably the situation doesn't allow, like COVID. Like it's one of the really great example that we can look at. Like if let's say you are a really great event management company, you earn millions or billions of dollars every single month, but when pandemic hits, you need to find other ways. Like airlines, they cannot fly. So what they do, probably they can sell like hot meals and to people to probably save their business to prevent them from getting bankrupt. So it's about like how you add ideas in and expand your ideas and expand your business, and most importantly, don't keep all your eggs in one basket.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. So the key is to always pivot, to always think of different ways of implementing your ideas or even getting even new ideas, right? Pak Yan, so what would be the biggest lesson that you have learned during this pandemic so far? So how do you basically mitigate all those risks and all those uncertainties? Because with COVID-19, with this pandemic, there's a lot of certain uncertainties, right? Yeah.
Yeah. The biggest lesson I've learned would be risk management. As before this, I also had a PR management company where we had a division in accommodation management. And the thing is, we started right before pandemic, right before the pandemic was announced. And it is a physical setting, hostels, businesses, and we had university hostels that really depended on the education industry running. So it was severely impacted. The company, although we recovered a little, but it has really taught me a great lesson in terms of risk management. I mean, we all do risk management before getting involved in the business, but sometimes we forget about big things that could happen, like 2008 recession, COVID. You don't expect these things. And I guess this is also what is known as the black swan phenomena, right? We often have to be prepared for things that we least expect and we don't even know about. Oftentimes, you cannot be foolproof of anything. So being in business, it is important to minimize the risk that is in your control. And if it gets out of hand, also remember the alligator principle. I mean, imagine an alligator chomping down on your feet. The more you struggle, the more it eats. And this is applicable in the business because sometimes when we are deep, losing money, and we say that we are in too deep, we cannot give up, but it is not. The thing is, the faster you leave and let go, the less you get eaten. So it's a very realistic take on business, but it is an important principle to be aware of, right? But I often take this as a learning experience where this has encouraged me to move to a more digitized business. Because when it comes to physical, it is not bad, but you have to be wary of things. Say, if your business stays in standstill for 3 months due to COVID, you still need to pay running costs like rentals, utilities, and all that. So, I mean, these are running costs. There are running costs for online businesses too, but essentially it is more affordable compared to a physical business. And the potential of growth is also big if it's an online business, right? So I've learned a lot in this pandemic, primarily being flexible and adaptive, as Jin Yang said just now, to adapt to any situation that you are put in. With different regulations that come up all the time right now with new apps, PKP, BKPB, everything. So it is a time of uncertainty. So being able to adapt and adjust is very important.
Yeah. All right. So interesting. So I hope all the participants are already, very, pumped. They're pumped up. They're feeling inspired, and listening from both of you. They've already, you've already shared in about 1 hour of what you have been doing and personally and also in your business. So now the next question would be, as a participant, I would say, okay, where do I start? How do I go? How do I start as an entrepreneur? What would be the top 3 things that I need to know? Share.
Oh yeah, that's also a really, really good question. As like, of course, the first step is you need to have an idea. So to have an idea, and how would you say that? How would you see this idea? Because I would say that there is a kind of way to say that the blue sea metaphor. So what does this mean? Is the blue sea means that you have like a lesser competition. Like let's say you have an idea to probably make something like an AI system to probably power some things that you don't know. Like example, a bottle that can measure your calories and so on. So it doesn't have like a really a lot of competitions in this kind of field, where in the other hand, where we have Red Sea, meaning that you have a lot of competition. So the biggest example that we can give is like Grab. So let's say today that you have this idea of creating an e-hailing app, but there are a lot of players out there like Grab, Uber, My Car. So where there's so many competitions and they are $1 million company, that they're worth millions of dollars. So it's hard to compete with them. So let's say if your idea is in the Red Sea, even though let's say I want to come up with an app, probably is called like U Taxi, then the price might be lower than Grab and the commission rate is probably lower than Grab. But Grab being a so big company, they can just easily reduce their price and outbid and compete you, and their budget is more than you. And being a startup, it's also really, really hard to compete in the Red Sea sector. So if let's say your idea is in the Red Sea sector, and you have to think of like, how are you going to move from Red Sea to Blue Sea by implementing more ideas? Like, let's say, like example for Grab, like that time Uber in Malaysia is like really, really big, but Grab is probably like just a startup. So how Grab innovate and outbid Uber and kick Uber out of Malaysia is like probably adding more services like Grab Food or some Grab Mart where Uber cannot even offer. Like Uber mainly just focusing on their e-hailing business that, well, they got obsolete. And the way of like how they implement like those how they run their business and so on. So if you have a Red Sea idea, you have to think of like more ideas on how are you going to reduce or shift your idea from Red Sea to the Blue Sea, because this is one very important thing that investors are looking at. When investors look at your idea and they look at, you have a lot of competitions out there, and how are you going to make sure that you are going to be better than your competitions? And that is one really main thing that you should look at in the first step, which is the ideation. And next, you need to prepare an execution plan. So now you have an idea. So how are you going to execute this plan? So let's say that you are going to create an AI marketing system. And then, so how are you going to execute this idea? And how are you going to maybe pitch to investors? And when you're pitching to investors, and probably how are you going to market it? And how are you going to explain this to investors? All these you can put in your execution plan. Like how are you going to get your grant, your budget, your funding, and probably you need to get legal advices for probably some of the you probably need to get licensing. So let's say you want to make a wallet. So like all these things that you need to take into consideration in your execution plan. And like how are you going to sell your product, and how are you want to have sales or marketing plan or your marketing strategies, how are you going to do it? And there's one thing that is really, really, really important is like your budget planning, and how are you going to plan your budget. So like being a startup entrepreneur, let's say one day you want to probably open a cafe. So by opening a cafe, you don't need a company car, you don't need a personal assistant at that moment of your startup. So like some entrepreneurs, like why their companies, like once they start up, probably a few months later, you see, where's the company? Disappear. So like probably a lot of people's mindset is like, now I have a business and I have the funding. So let's buy a company car. Let's get a secretary. Let's get a personal assistant, or probably let's get a house for my employees and so on. So, but this you need to take into consideration that is this necessary, or is this good to have or nice to have? And at this period of time, is this really, really, really that you need it? So let's say you're opening a cafe. To buy coffee beans, coffee machine, it is a must. And these things you need to spend on instead of a company car, personal assistant. So you have to plan from there, because just remember that if as a startup, you have limited resources, so you have to use it really, really wisely.
Sorry, I was unmuted. Yeah, so basically you have to learn how to, to do bootstrapping and then how to have a lean startup, right? So we always tell our students, start as a lean startup. Okay, but yeah, maybe you want to share. So what, and do you have any entrepreneurial tricks that you might have up your sleeve that you discovered when you are, you're in your day to day as a, as an entrepreneur here?
I'd say being disciplined and go-directed is important, especially during COVID. I mean, before this, we often hung out in different coffee shops to do our work in different environments. But being cooped up at home right now, we often rely on Google Meet to connect, discuss, and strategize for the business. So it depends largely on our commitment and our initiative to work towards the goal that we want to for the company, right? So we stay on schedule for responsibilities to make sure the company is moving in the right direction and to push ourselves to meet the mission and vision, right? So having responsibility is one point I would stress on, as we need to be responsible for our work and being able to produce even with the COVID situation. And one thing is because our company works by the individual, as we don't couple productivity with the number of hours we work, but by our progress in terms of whether we are able to complete our responsibilities to achieve what we're set out to. Yeah, that's more of it. And our work culture is essentially that we try to create a sense of inclusivity with our stakeholders. Like for our instructors, right? We always discuss with them what is suitable and to engage with them, because we believe that they know their market best. And being in different fields, it is often really important to look from different perspectives and understand it. And we also work a lot by the Starfish Principle, where we believe that essentially everyone in under this company, we are working towards the same goal. And a lot of times we work together collaboratively to make success. And we constantly try to create an environment where innovation, learning, improvement is always taken note of. We always ask our team, how can we help? If, say, the tutor doesn't know how to, let's say, operate the classes online, we often work together to brainstorm for a solution. Like maybe we help them set up the systems and stuff like that. So essentially, everyone has their own responsibilities, but we act as a role to ask them what they need and how we can help them achieve their responsibilities. So we work in that way.
Just a side note before I forget about this question, Ng Song Kiat asked, do you guys work with other job agency or offer freelancing to find client?
I would say that we often collaborate with companies, like as our like the event management thing. We actually collaborated with companies like Millennium Universe, which is like the paging company. So we collaborate with all these companies to like gain projects, so we can get projects for our students. And so we can get these projects and place our student to be in this field. So that's how our course works. So we collaborate with them, and then we send our students there to gain experience for their platforms. And then we ourselves also organize our own events where we get our students to experience them themselves too. And furthermore, as for freelancings, because our company is mainly our instructors are mainly freelancers. So we don't tie them up. Let's say that, oh, you have to sign this agreement to be inside our company and you are our company employee and you have to tie like all working hours and so on. So we would like them to be our freelancers, as they can choose their own timing to work and when they should start work, when they should end work, and so on. And then the pay itself, and we can negotiate and so on. So this will be really, really freelance for those instructors and those who collaborated with us. And like our web development team, we're all freelancers. So we won't actually, our company is mainly focusing on like, oh, we don't want to tie people into our company. And we want a really vast field that, oh, we need people, we can get people. It's not that we need to hire people and pay them we need to pay them like their pay every month and so on. So we can choose to when we should need more people and when we don't need more people. We can choose because they are freelancers and they are not tied to our company. So in this sense that we can also reduce our company's expenses, as we don't let's say this month we don't have events, we don't need crew, we don't need people, we don't need photographers, we don't need videographers. So in the sense of, although we have a fixed team, but that fixed team is probably a few people, but if we need more people, freelancers come in. That's how we work.
Okay. Oh wow. All right. That's a good model. Okay. So now maybe you want to share some of the most satisfying moments that you have in your business. Do you have any? Maybe you can share with the participants.
I have a few. I can say that one of the most satisfying moments is like when I started the talk, I can say that I'm very proud that I did not lay off anyone in my company, which is one thing that I can say that probably some companies out there cannot afford to continue paying their companies, but I can say that we have that capital to continuing to keep the employees' job in hand so they can put food to their families and so on. And I can say that another thing is helping other companies to stay afloat at this period of time also, like COVID and so on. And not everyone can sell their business to B2B, so or probably sell their business at shops and so on. So I'm very satisfied to say that we can actually help them and grow together with us. And for some startups, we also collaborate with them to try to build their programs and so on. So I would say that something that I can feel proud that what we're doing. And as for the AI company I'm working on, I can say that I'm also satisfied that we can gain investors from Cambodia, Singapore to invest into this company, where we're still working on it on implementing to commercial buildings as in the near future, and we're also working with industry experts on the other hand. And as for SkillDefyne itself, we're also working on like more companies and so on, and we're trying to get more and more projects, I can say. So yeah, that's some small glimpse about my satisfaction.
Okay, all right. So Payan, how do you basically drive value in your product actually? And because they are freelancers, right? So that means they can opt to do the same thing, not within SkillDefyne. That's also another issue you want to also try and figure out, right? So how do you basically drive value?
This would relate a lot to our unique value proposition. So what we want to provide to our customers is the experience, the quality of education, of affordability and quality courses for kids in terms of programming and all those. Because in terms of the instructors, we kind of have this requirement that you have passion and you really care about what you're teaching. So we want you to actually share the information rather than teach the information, right? And because we are more project-based, that is especially for vocational subjects like event management, project management, and even photography, we want to, because there's not a lot of people doing this in terms of development, there is web development and all that, there is a lot. But in terms of projects, event management, some people would go into a degree or actually go and study on this. But from our experience, from being an event manager on my own for some time, a lot of situations we learn on the ground. And you can read all the information on the book and stuff like, the triangle, quality triangle and things like that. But you will see that if you're actually there, it doesn't work. And 90% of the time something goes wrong in your event. And especially with photography also, every camera is different, every lighting is different. And to be able to learn firsthand from someone who is experienced in that field, we believe is important. Because I think one of the things that recruiters, company recruiters also focus a lot is this 9-1 principle. Because they say that 90%, they look into your personality and everything, right? 10% is your knowledge, your theory, your workshops, the workshops you're drawing, and the degree you have. And 90% is the experience you have. What makes you unique? What is your experience in event management? What is your experience in project management? What makes you so different? Because everyone has a degree, right? To be honest, right now. So what makes you different in the way that you have that skill and you have used that in actual running out of battery. You have used that in actual life. So yeah, that would be our unique value proposition, is that we want to help. We want to be able to teach project-based information to let you have the experience of what you're teaching. Yeah, I'd say that. We can.
Okay, so because SkillDefyne, their product is very much based on skills learning, right? So why do you think, to have this product is important, and shouldn't be just having a degree is sufficient enough? Well, I shouldn't be asking that question, but let's just say that I'm playing the devil's advocate here. So shouldn't you think that just degree would be enough? But yeah, why do you offer such skills?
I think it's also the 9-1 principle I see just now, and that because a lot of what you learn is important, yes, especially if you're doing medicine and stuff like that. But in terms of vocational subjects like being able to host an event and being able to do photography, project management, it's largely skill-based, where your experience plays an important role. I mean, we can say that, I know how to theoretically host an event, but in that scenario, a lot of things might go wrong, and you may not be able to handle a lot of these things because it is not taught. I guess it is not really, you're not really prepared for it, because these are all sudden things, and everything's unpredictable. There's uncertainty and stuff like that. So it's also being able to fail through experience and learn from that.
Okay, all right, okay. Junior, can we answer this question by Song Kiat? He says, let's say I am a full stack web developer and is considering to help your team, but I want to have projects after project with the minimal free time in between. Price can negotiate later. Would you be able to do that? So this is more like you DM me personally. Let me answer this question.
We can work on that. So probably you can contact us, and we can see what we can do with this.
Okay, Songkiat, do you want to know more? Is there any other questions that you want to know? Songkiat? No, all right, okay. So yeah, then probably I'll link both of you together later on. Okay, now I noticed Payan is not there. Maybe you can start with this one just to wrap up. What would be one piece of advice that you would give to anyone out there who wants to become an entrepreneur, be it whether they are a graduatepreneur or a studentpreneur? What would be your advice?
I would say that you need to plan your idea and get a really good idea of like what is your idea is, whether it's in the Red Sea or Blue Sea, or if it's in the Red Sea, how are you going to move it to the Blue Sea, and then how and create an execution plan on how are you going to. One moment, let me plug in the charger. All right. And furthermore, like how will you execute, how will you get your funding, and you need to know thoroughly, like really know your product really, really well and know what is the next steps that you need to take.
Is there any myth in in entrepreneurship that that everyone should know that you have learned so far?
Myth, I would say that a lot of people say that being an entrepreneur, there's no 9 to 5, there's no a fixed whatever fixed timing. But I would say that being an entrepreneur is, although you have the flexibility, but in the other hand, you have a lot of things in hand, like you have maybe even more work to do than a normal employee. Probably employee, you can just after 5 p.m. you can just throw your laptop away and just chill back and enjoy the rest of your day. But being an entrepreneur is you might not be free at, like, you can, when you have things to do, you need to do it. So it's not like, oh, after 5, I'm not doing anything after 5. So it probably, let's say you have a client from overseas calling you at 12 midnight, not knowing that you are from Malaysia and you are supposed to be at sleep. Well, being an entrepreneur, you have to pick it up because that's business. So it's more of like, if you say no 9 to 5, yes, there's no 9 to 5, but you have even more things that you need to consider, like the risks and all those things. But another myth is like, you earn when you sleep. Okay, that is something that probably when your company is much more successful in your later life, then you can earn when you sleep. And if you're a startup, probably it's not that fast unless you have other investments covering up your company. Well, okay, then probably you can earn when you sleep. And other myth is like fast turnover rate. So, but fast turnover rate, it also depends on how you manage your company and how you market your company, or what kind of business are you in. And if, let's say, you took the opportunity to produce masks and compete with COVID at this hour, at this time, probably you might get a turnover rate in a few months' time, because as masks now is not cheap. And yeah, and it also depends on what kind of business you're doing. So it's really, really, really subjective. And another myth is like, oh, you won't fail in business and you would definitely success in any kind of business that you're doing. So, but I would say that 9 out of 10 startups fail. So it all depends on the determination of the entrepreneur and how passionate are you and how innovative are you to adapt to situations like this.
You know, we like to joke that we don't work from 9 to 5, we just work from 9 to 5 a.m.
It's like constantly, right? Okay, all right. So, Pak Yan, do you want to share your piece of advice, your one piece of advice to give to everyone out there who wants to become an entrepreneur?
I'd say to, be prepared by doing a lot of research, like the pestle analysis and all that, and understand your business from your customers' perspectives and a lot of different perspectives. I mean, we always say customer, but it is made up of so many different perspectives, right?
Yeah.
And you have to think critically about how you want to strategize your business, because you have to be the critical thinker and be rational and to criticize your work on like how other people would. And you have to be real with that. And you can't say, oh, my product is the best. Nah, stop. It doesn't work like that. And well, most importantly is to come up with innovative ideas and adapt to tackle any problems, such as, let's say financial constraints. You come up with different ideas, creative ideas, to see how you can overcome that problem. And even if, like, okay, I can't do a certain system in my website, how can I change? How can I go around that? It may be a different route, a longer route, but you can also, that has to be taken into account, right? So yeah, make sure your budgeting is also right. Yeah, that's it.
All right, great. I think that was amazing. Great sharing. We are now at about 1.5 hours. Just you sharing, your experience and what you have done. At this point, I would like to ask if anyone have any questions. You're free to turn on your mic if you have any question, or you can put in the chat box. We can probably take a one or two questions. Is there anyone? I thought it was, it was pretty inspiring. Now I feel bad when whenever I want to watch my series. so Payan, don't you watch any K-dramas? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I love my Crash Landing on You kind of drama,
Yeah, I normally spend, after 11, we just say, okay, stop. I need to accompany my mom to watch Netflix right now. And then sometimes I will do my work while watching Netflix also.
Okay, so at least she's a human being. Okay, now I feel better. I feel better. So is there any other questions that anyone would like to ask? I have from just from this sharing, I can say that you know a lot of things. You read. I'm guessing that you read a lot. I mean, at your age, you're already talking about the .com bubble. You're talking about Amazon. How old were you when Amazon, set up, and when .com bubble, happened. So I can tell that you actually read up a lot. So, who inspired you? Who is your inspiration, and what kind of books do you read in your spare time? I mean, this is probably not related to your business or entrepreneurship, but the books that you read or the things that you do in your spare time or in your hobbies that probably shape your mindset, right? Anyone?
I don't. Okay, to be honest, I have a lot of books that I don't read. Because I'm lazy that way, okay. But I do listen to podcasts and The Economist and a lot of business podcasts while I'm driving and stuff like that. So that is how I learn a lot of information. And one podcast that is really nice is the 3,000 book summary. So essentially, I don't really need to read the book. I just need 15 minutes to understand the whole story, and that's sufficient, I think.
Junior, how about you?
As for me, so because at the other hand, I can say that my dad inspired me a lot is because even from my secondary age, he brings me out to meet his because my dad is also in business, and he owns a company, a consulting firm where he does it for like insurance companies and so on. And then what he did is he bring me out and then to meet his clients, to meet his friends, and talk about like what is going on this world. So I would say that I'm very grateful that I have all these kind of first-hand experience, or like my dad brings me out to his business meetings to know more about how does a business runs, and how to bring, probably when I have an idea, how am I going to bring this idea to action. So, but what I do during my free time, I would say that if you want to say that a person who doesn't watch movies, who doesn't go on entertainment, they're practically lying to you. So yeah, we also have our own lives, and well, I also do read books, and some authors that I like Tony Robbins and The Rich Dad Poor Dad. This is one of my favorite books that I can say that you guys can actually read into. And I would say, yeah, they do actually. We actually have lives also.
Okay, so we have a few questions here. WJ Kam, what's your suggestion about nowadays business in this market? So maybe some ideas, I suppose.
I'd say there is a lot more focus on customer experience. So, I mean, a few years back, you see grocery stores just selling products, just selling products just there, And lately, you can see that they are very focused on psychology and how they can make you buy more, how they can make you feel so great that you'll go there again. So essentially, there's this customer experience factor that a lot of people are taking into account. I mean, here comes the job of like user experience and customer service and things like that. So because essentially when you look at all the grocery store prices, it's almost the same, but you still go to that one store because it just makes you feel good. Yeah. My preference is Jaya Grocer, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even online, right? So you want it to be seamless, you want it to be fast, you want it to be easy when you go on a platform. If you have to keep on, I don't know, I get turned off and I find it so difficult for me to even buy one thing.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, so that's true. That's true. Customer experience is really important. What will the ideal business startup to bring to the market at the new future? That's interesting. Vincent, what do you mean by this question though? What will the ideal startup to bring to the market? Oh, you mean the one that's currently probably affected by COVID? Is that what you mean?
Hi, thank you guys for the sharing. Hi Putri, hi everybody. I think the meaning of the question is like we see there's a lot of mainstream ideas, startup business coming up, especially in Malacca. I can see that we have already the giants like Panda and Grab, but there's a lot of private small startups coming up, you know. So I wonder, like in this near future, like what kind of ideal business startup that these students right here can actually come up with.
Okay, interesting.
You want to
I would say it's what kind of startup. It all depends on your idea and how, because every people have a different idea, and probably some like if I have this idea, it might not work on me, and if you have this idea, it may work on you. So it's more of like how would you feel comfortable on that particular business that you need to, when you will feel passionate and you will feel that there is a market and in this field. But in the near future, we're all talking about everything going online, digitalization, and this will be still staying in this industry where we need businesses need to go digitalized, businesses need to have a website, businesses need to have like some platform where customers can view it online and they can probably sell their business through an online platform. This will stay, and as the convenience of the online, so customers would prefer an online, but still comes to some of the business. Like if you want to say that you are opening a massage shop, or you cannot go online, right? But yeah, I would say that online is here to stay, and the business model of the online will still be here in the near future.
If I could add, oh sorry. Okay, if I could add, one thing also would be if we, when you have an idea, you want to be in the blue sea strategy, blue sea, as you mentioned, but the thing is, you often think that, okay, I have this business plan and I have this extra thing that is different from others. But for example, like Boost a few years back is one of the top in the Southeast Asia, one of the top e-wallet in Southeast Asia. And then Grab is a e-hailing service, but somehow they just thought of, you know what, let's just do an e-wallet. And right now, Grab is the first in Southeast Asia. So you also have to be wary of like, okay, I'm starting this business and there is a lot of big companies out there. And anytime they can just add another small little feature that can cover you. So your 1 year only takes them 1 week to complete because of their budget and what the resources they have. So this is also a thing to keep in mind.
Okay, wow. All right. So another question by Vincent. Will you encourage students to join business or entrepreneurship competition? And why?
I would say that I would encourage students to join. It's because it's a very good platform that you can test out whether your idea, that people, is there a market in your idea, or is there a really is your idea really good in the sense of there is a really big market that people can be investing on? Because investors they're really realistic, and they will tell you that, oh, this idea doesn't work, then it really doesn't work. Then probably you can think of like, how would you convert this idea and make this idea to work and market this idea out? So I would say that it's a very good opportunity and very good platform that students can try and join all these competitions, because students in their daily life might not be exposed to business and this business field or this market, where this is a very, very good platform that students can go into and test out whether this idea really works or not.
Okay, so we have one more question. Modern business is earning cash flow instead of profit. Okay, so you might have some comments there. How far do you agree with this, or any suggestions to all the participants?
I think it depends on what kind of business you're also. In terms of if you're looking for profit, I guess that's more of like SMEs. You want profit first, right? But if you grow bigger and you want to go for IPOs and stuff like that, then cash flow is something you would look into. But as an SME, when you're starting up, for me, I guess it's more of the profit first, to keep the business sustainable, right?
Anything to add, Jin
Okay, I would say that I would totally agree with what she said, because cash flow, it's something that, although cash flow is really, really important in business also, because without cash flow, even though you have profits and you spend it off somewhere else, well, it's also something that you have to consider on. And yeah.
So they have a conversation here. I think you're getting the idea wrong. He's referring to WJ. Having cash flows allows you to get loan easier and attract more investors. Yeah, so that's also another way of looking at it, I suppose. Yeah. Okay. All right. So do we have any more questions? Dr. Ong, do you have any questions? Maybe you personally have any questions that you are dying to ask?
I'm in my midlife crisis now, so just leave me alone.
Yeah. So throughout the whole session, that's what I'm feeling. I'm like, oh wow, these two, I want to call kids, but I cannot. They don't deserve to be called kids, right? Yeah.
At their age, I spend my day and life playing football managers.
They are so-called matured kids. They are so-called matured kids.
I can't even remember what I do during, at that age, man. I mean, I'm just wasting it away.
Yeah, I mean, on their age, I was playing all sorts of games.
Okay, so if you don't have any more questions, I hope everyone actually learned something from that, feeling inspired from that. So basically, when we look at these two, right, looking at somebody just next door laying off their teachers, their trainers, what he did, he grabbed them all into their platform. And I mean, yeah, you grab that opportunity. So I'm guessing, the key thing is for you to act on it, to act on your ideas and act on it fast, take on that opportunity and use your age, use, where you're at the moment, you're even though you're still a student, open up a startup, be it a lean startup, bootstrapping, you can still afford it. You don't have your, at this point, you don't have your liabilities, right? So you don't have, well, if you, probably some of you have, but it's not as crazy after you have graduated, So yeah, use that opportunity. Maybe one last question I want to ask, because when you are sharing, right? Here we are trying to share so much, trying to share everything with our participants, right? But you seem to know about business model, marketing strategy, your business plan, your action plan, your pitching deck. Where do you learn all this? How do you know what to do? How to do your business model, your business plan?
Through experience. I mean, I've pitched a few of a business idea to actual investors, and I've also joined competition. So the combination of like joining competitions, learning, because some competitions, they do teach you a lot in front before starting the whole competition. Like recently I joined this Axiata coding challenge. So from the competitions, you learn information, and also through actual real life experience of facing investors and those things. Yeah.
Jin Yang, anything?
I would say for me that I'm very grateful that I have people around me, family members around me that guide me through and get me exposed when I'm still in school studying probably still in my secondary school. So I would say that that period of time that I slowly get to know on, oh yeah, how does a business like, and how do I run a business, and what action should I take. So I would say that that's one of the things that I learned from. And then further on, that I have actually participated like quite a number of like those kind of pitching competitions where we can just get in, not only like you can go there and know like, oh, if your idea works or not, and to get grant or all sorts of things. But another thing that you can go to all these competitions and gain connections, because people there, and they are also as passionate as you, and they are also there to pitch their ideas, and probably you can get to probably collaborate with someone over there and gain new connections, or probably you can stay in contact with the investors, so probably you can get funding in the future. Even though after the competition, you can get legal advice from them. So it's very good that you join all these competitions, and furthermore, that's one thing that I joined United Nations, is because I want to gain new connections, and from there I meet a lot of different kinds of people, which actually gave me a lot of advice on the way. So yeah, I'm grateful on that.
Okay, so I see that Albert raised his hand. So before we answer the last question by Johan, we pass to Albert. Do you have any question?
Yeah, this is for Jinhang. I'm just very curious. This is your year one. So what do you plan to do for your FYP, final year project?
I haven't got an idea of like what's the final year project like yet.
Oh, okay. So I can brief you on it. I don't mind to be a course supervisor as well. It's actually 2 months. 2 semesters, 8 months totally. So you'll be doing your FYP for this one. Is not just only for you, for all the students now. For all the students, it's year 3, 2 semester. So you got entirely 8 months to actually do your FYP. The first semester will be used for your background research and whatnot. The second semester will be for implementation.
That's something that I can think of right now. It's still early.
Yeah, I'm just curious because you're exploring so many things, right? So I think ACE and also your faculty, they have this thing called the industry FYP. So as in you can basically work on your FYP, and yet it's attached to an industry, perhaps your company. So to work out some, take this opportunity to work out some, because you are saying that you are doing AI, since your background is in cybersecurity, you can work out something to commercialize as well. So that would be something, killing, a stone killing 2 birds at once. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Robert.
Roha, do you have any questions?
Not some part promote.
Roha, do you have any question? No. Okay. All right. So we have few questions. Just just about when we're about to wrap up, right? So we have from Johan. I think the last question that's not the last question, Johan. What is your vision for the next 5 years and beyond? Yeah, we forgot about that. Yeah, what's your 5 years plan?
Well, along the way that we plan to collaborate with even more companies, and we are looking forward to get projects from the government, and to collaborate with HRDF to get our course there, so that companies can get their employees skilled up and gain some experience from there, and to skill up their employees. And we also plan to, if possible, we can get more investors on board and legal advisors on board, so we can grow our company bigger.
Okay, yes, great. What is the next big thing that entrepreneurs should pay attention to? I think over and over again you mentioned about digitalization, right? And then in terms of customer-centric kind of product or services, I would say. But do you want to add on any?
Data is fun. No.
Especially data analytics. That it's good to know that which probably market that you should go into. You can look at the data statistics, and and so on to see whether your idea is suitable for this market or not. So yeah, there's a lot of data out there that you can look into, and as now there's a lot of things is open source, so you can look into that when doing your ideation.
Okay, another question. Ang Song Kiat, do you think doing advertisement on your business important? Where would you see yourself now if you have focused on advertising more?
We haven't actually started the advertising plan, but we have basically like a social media plan and things that we plan on doing. And that is how, because normally how we do right now, most of our marketing skill is more towards the budget side before we can actually go forward. So because we want to be able to test the market and see what's suitable first, and then we will work and then we will put more of our budget into the advertising part. Because you have to do A/B testing is what they always say.
Okay, all right. Okay, wow. I think everyone is feeling inspired. So hence why we have so many questions, on so many things. Shall we wrap up? If anyone have any dying questions that they are dying to know at this point of time. Yes.
Okay, I think I'm not asking a question. I'm not asking a question, but I'm not related to them. I think a lot of things has been talked about today, like Ian, you talk a lot about your opportunity to face investors. You talk about digitizations. Okay, so let me advertise a little bit the last question. By week 6, you will be seeing an actual venture capitalist over here. Okay, we have Victor Chua, Wings Capital. He is an actual venture capitalist, Carson. You have Carson. He have few investment under him, his company. So we will bring him here. Okay, our good contact, someone supporting us a lot. We have Azahari, the expert in digitizations of business. Recently I saw his Facebook. He said he was hired by one of the governments in Africa to do digitization all over there in Africa. He will be here. And then next week, we will have our own, very own recent graduate in Jimmy Yap, starting up a elderly care center. Okay, so we are bringing all these people here. That's why you must be here, okay, to support us throughout the 12 weeks. So that is advertisement. Okay, thank you, Jian. Thank you, Fabian.
Okay, so let's invite everyone to turn on their camera so we can have a photo session. Unfortunately, we cannot have a face-to-face, in-person photo session with this amazing duo, but at least let us have a virtual photo session with this amazing duo. Right? Shall we turn on our camera? Let me just change my setting here. I think after this, we have to call them back, Jin Yang on his green energy AI. I don't know whether he's working with Pak Yan or not, but Pak Yan also have his another, stint in other startups. We really have to call them back for another, another session. We must have like a follow-up session with these two. Okay, are we ready? Everyone is a bit shy to turn on their camera.
Oh, faces.
Yeah, please turn on your camera. Don't feel shy.
Okay, no, all right, okay, it's okay, no worries.
Okay, ready?
All right, okay, go ahead, Faiza.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, one more, 1, 2, 3.
Faiza, then we will be seeing your camera there.
Okay.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Freestyle. Okay.
How much freestyle can you go, right, in front of this screen? All right, so Jin Yang and Pak Yan, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing so much with us, for answering tons of questions. and also more questions from the participants and from everyone here. I thought it was an amazing and wonderful experience, wonderful sharing. Do you have any last word before we leave, before we wrap up the session? I know you already have your advice. I know you're already sharing so much, but any last word?
I would say thank you for inviting us to this session, as we appreciate the invitation. And furthermore, if you guys have interest in joining our company, feel free to email us at talents@skilldefyne.com, and you can reach us out more from there. Yeah.
Maybe